Hey, hey, what is going on? It is late. I'm in a different angle of the room tonight. Figured we'd change it up a little bit. If you've been watching on Flip's channel, I was over here the other night too, and worked out well. What's going on, Dustin? Good to see you. Hopefully, you get some other names popping in here for a little while. Hope everybody had a good week. Eric, how are we? Glad you could come live this week, man. Good to see you. There we go. Got a few more eyeballs. Man, it has turned into a week. I don't know how much you've been paying attention. What's going on, Tom? Good to see you. This week, man, releases just exploded. I I thought we were only gonna have a few to talk about, and then oh man, we have Imprint, we have Shout Factory, we have Vinegar Syndrome. We've got their 24 different partner labels now that they got. There are so many that got announced this week to go over. It is crazy. I've got some interesting pickups to go over. I got the Shout Select sale I'm going to unbox for everybody. I also got some other random physical media. Don't talk about it enough on here, so I'm going to talk about some of those that came in this week. Again, if anybody has any questions while this is going on, if you want to see anything, let me know. I don't mind going and picking something up to talk about it. Let me know if you want to see anything, want to hear anything. I also, tonight, did not lead up to this at all, but we are going to go over what I'm going to do special for the channel for the entire month of October. Going to try to make it super interactive, and we are going to get started. So tonight, we are going to go over the announcements first. There are just so many. I'm going to try to be brief about everything. It's going to be difficult because, oh man, there's so much to go over. This was the video last week, so you can see this is everything that's been announced since then. First, super low quality picture, but of course, Marvel is going to continue with their Steelbooks. We haven't actually discussed this very much. Is there anybody in the chat that is big collectors of Steelbooks? I know that's kind of a hit or miss thing. Some people love them, some people hate them. Yes, they are kind of fragile, but spoiler, a couple of the ones I'm going to talk about tonight, we do have some Steelbooks I want to go over. I like Steelbooks quite a lot. They can be great, obviously, as I have a big wall of Steelbooks right next to me that you guys probably saw on the room tour that I did. But yeah, Black Widow coming out. I kind of like this steel because it's mostly double-sided. It basically looks like the front cover, no matter who you want to share. Florence Pugh or Scarlet there. Overseas steels from ICE, I completely agree. They are generally better 9 times out of 10, especially the exclusive art ones and the big boxes. I love those premiums. John's here live. What's going on, John? All right. The first, what do we got here? You have about a dozen Steelbooks. That's how we all start there, Tom. We all start with about a dozen. And now I'm into like buying protectors overseas and trying to get those in there so that they can last and be nice forever. The big first announcement that we got is Imprint. While we all slept between Thursday to Friday last week, Imprint dropped that they are going to be putting out 7 different titles in the month of November. This one is Tam Lin. Really love the artwork they're doing on the slip for this one. And if you've never seen Imprint, let me get let's see what's a good one. The Deep. I have the Deep from them right here. Really nice slipcase, simple blue on the inside. So far, all of their limited edition releases are, the only difference is the slip. Everything else on the inside is exactly the same as the standard. John is watching Terminal Island from Vinegar Syndrome. You know what's funny? That is my planned watch for tomorrow night. I'm planning on diving deep into that one. I can't wait to see the 4K. I imagine it is great. So Tam Lin from Imprint. This is legendary Hollywood goddess Ava Gardner delivers a mesmerizing performance in director Roddy McDowall's wickedly suspenseful tale of decadent young thrill seekers and the sinister seductress who holds them spellbound. Top-notch cast includes Stephanie Beacham, Cyril Cusack, Richard Wattis, and Joanna Lumley. This is one that I don't even think has gotten enough attention. Good to know. Good picture quality on that. Vinegar Syndrome obviously can't really be beat when you're doing everything essentially in house with OCN. I'm sure Terminal Island looks incredible. So Tam Lin is what we got from them first. That's going to be 2,000 copies. If you're looking for it in the US, obviously you can order direct, pay for those increased Australian shipping costs, or Orbit has been getting all those in. You got to pay attention, though, because right after they come in, they're going pretty quick. Imprint is getting a little difficult to get in the States here. Next one they announced is Let's Scare Jessica to Death. Obviously, Scream Factory's put this one out. I don't think there is a huge reason to get both here, at least not yet. There is new commentary by Kat Allinger, so if you love her, which most of us that are in this hobby do, if that's something that you're going to be into, that could be a reason that you'd want this one. But I got to be honest, the color on this, great. The art they're using is one of a kind. Everything on this looks really good. So if you don't have the Scream Factory release, I would certainly suggest this one. A lot of people say that this is one of the scariest films they've ever seen. It's really good. I wouldn't quite put that sort of reverence on it, but it definitely deserves respect. I'll put it that way. Continuing their solid month with another Scream Factory release, they are also putting out Body Parts. This is one from Eric Red from the 90s. I personally, this is one of my favorite movies. If you don't have Body Parts, I would suggest it. It is very fun. Obviously not a very realistic movie is the word we'll use, but it is super, it's over the top in a way that makes it feel nostalgic. And this feels like a holdover from the 80s into the 90s in a way that it shows the really fun practical effects, and the way the story goes on is sort of expected after you get past the first act, but it does it in a way that you are super glad that it pays off in the end. Body Parts is a bone-chilling tale about a medical experiment gone wrong after a crime psychologist, of course, played by Jeff Fahey. You can see this wonderful picture of him there. He loses his arm and nearly his life in a grisly car accident. He undergoes a daring medical operation to have a donor arm grafted onto his body. But after the operation, the arm starts to take on a violent life of its own, striking out against Bill's wife and children. Bill is driven to learn about the donor's identity, a horrifying discovery that delivers him into a world of unimaginable terror. It is super fun. Dustin, I think you were saying that you were going to pick up Let's Scare Jessica to Death. It's a good choice. I would certainly recommend it, especially if you've never seen it. But Imprint does really good work, and that is not a bad one to get. After Body Parts, we got The Gift. This is one from Sam Raimi, and this had not been on Blu-ray yet. So The Gift is a special one because I think we only have one more of his movies, maybe two, that have not gotten the Blu-ray treatment. Kyle said The Lawnmower Man. What's going on, Kyle? Don't know what that's about. Tom Ford, I rarely double dip unless it's an upgrade to 4K. My man, I am right there with you. It is difficult when there's so many titles to choose from to just start double dipping on everything. If you're into features, that gets difficult because there's some of these that you'll just never get unless you get one very specific release. But The Gift is Oscar winner and Golden Globe winner Cate Blanchett leads an incredible all-star cast, including Hilary Swank, Keanu Reeves, Katie Holmes, Giovanni Ribisi, and Greg Kinnear in the stylishly filmed mystery that's as eerie as a backwoods swamp with a dark secret beneath its even darker surface. This is directed by Sam Raimi and written by Billy Bob Thornton and Tom Epperson. This is one I've not seen in quite some time. But again, Sam Raimi is a great director, in my opinion. Rarely does any wrong. I thoroughly enjoy pretty much every movie he's directed. I know that a lot of people are not keen on Drag Me to Hell, but I personally love it. So this is one I certainly want to look at down the road. Probably not a pre-order, but at least we are getting it. It does have a new interview with Bob Murawski. which is pretty good. And then Nathaniel Thompson and Troy Howarth are providing the commentary. That is a hell of a 1-2 punch. Even Oz. I enjoyed Oz for the fact that it was, I think, the second movie I saw with my wife in the movie theaters. It's not a great movie, but it's fun. I'll say that. Next up from them is a great 90s thriller. This is 90s, right? I don't remember the year on this one. It's not 2004, is it? Oh man, I am blanking. What is the year on Stir of Echoes? I swear 98, right? Somebody else look me up here. Stir. Oh, 99. I was close. Yeah, late 90s. Jeff Fahey played the Lawnmower Man. Oh, that's what you thought. Yeah, Jeff Fahey is incredible. Dustin, my man, I agree with you. I pre-ordered the Zhang Yimou and Gong Li set from Imprint. I did as well. I cannot wait to get that. I believe it was delayed by 2 weeks, but that set is one that it looks incredible. And if nobody else has seen them, like, let me grab this one. Imprint's box sets they are thick boys. They are not something to scoff at. These are, I would say, I appreciate Vinegar Syndrome's box sets, but these are done in such a way that I might appreciate even a little more because they are all identical. They have a little triangle on all of them. What's going on, Flex? Good to see you. All right, so Stir of Echoes, 1999, like I said. In every mind, there is a door that should never be opened. Tom Witzke, played by Kevin Bacon, is a normal, hardworking family man whose life is turned upside down when he is hypnotized at a neighborhood party. He starts seeing things he cannot explain, and the visions get more graphic and horrific. He then begins to realize that the visions are of an unsolved crime. When his nightmares start to come true, Tom has had enough, only to find that the more he wants out, the more he wants to solve the crime. This is a Richard Matheson penned novel, and he's also the one that did, oh gosh, he's done a few, but what is, it's not his big one. There's another one that he's done that I've loved. Let me see. I should have had this prepared. My apologies. Obviously, he did I Am Legend. He's the one that did Hell House. That's a fun one. That's what I was trying to think of. That will be your first Imprint title. Wow, that's a hell of a start into Imprint, Dustin. That's awesome. And to start with the box set, that's a good investment there. So Imprint on Stir of Echoes got a new interview with David. I believe his last name is pronounced Kep, the director. No new interview with Kevin Bacon or anything, which would be great, but unfortunately, he's probably a little busy for that. Anybody in the chat seen this one? I thoroughly enjoy Stir of Echoes. I definitely want to get this one. I probably do not want to miss out. I am thinking of pre-ordering this one. I have not yet. And we are only about halfway through their titles for, what is that, November. The next one, the Medusa Touch. This is the older, I believe this is the oldest title they are putting out in November. Is that Region A? Are we looking at Stir of Echoes there? I believe this one is, let me see. Let me check their website real quick. I think this one was supposed to be Region Free. Loading right now. Stir of Echoes. And keep in mind, these are not always correct. Sometimes they have to market the titles as region locked, and then it will come out region free. This one is not currently labeled, as far as I can see. There are a few that have come as region B locked from Imprint. So unfortunately, this is probably one that we're going to have to wait and find out once it gets released and people try it on their players. I believe I think Stir of Echoes was owned by Sony. Does anybody know offhand? Let's see if it's on IMDb here. If you know the studio, generally you can guess the region locking on this, because like Universal is generally all region free. And actually, as of lately, especially with Blu-ray, Disney has been region free as well. Unfortunately, this one is not showing who owns it. All right, after Stir of Echoes, we've got the Medusa Touch. Like I said, this is Richard Burton as the man with the Medusa Touch. He has the power to create catastrophe. John Morler is haunted by the belief that he can, through the power of telekinesis, cause fatal disasters to occur. This obsession is reinforced when, after Morler is assaulted, a moon mission crisis and jet crash occur in short order. The police turn to Morler's mysterious therapist, Zonfeld, to try to get to the bottom of the case. This one is getting a new audio commentary with Lee Gambin, who is pretty dang good. He's a film scholar, I believe. And then there's a new video essay by Ian McAnally. That last name looks like McAnally. We're just going to skip over that part. Once again, this is only limited to 2,000. I'm kind of surprised they're limiting these to only 2,000. It seems like Imprint had been getting a little bigger. I would not be surprised if they started raising these print runs probably in the next year. After that is The Possession of Joel Delaney. This is another one that I'm really looking forward to. This is before The Exorcist. There was The Possession of Joel Delaney. Shirley MacLaine stars as Nora Benson, a New Yorker who puzzles over sudden changes in her brother's behavior. Joel has begun speaking Spanish and practicing strange rituals. In order to protect her family and save her brother, Nora must delve deep into the mysterious world of Santeria, where she begins to suspect that the spirit of a serial killer may be the reason for Joel's behavior. This 1970s cult classic is released for the first time in HD. All in on this one. This one sounds really fun, right up my alley. I love a good possession story. I grew up in a, if you remember from one of the past conversations, I grew up in a very, not super fundamentalist religious household, but my stepmom that I lived with was scared to death of The Exorcist. She had not watched it for years. And then when the remaster came out, where they actually showed the imprinted scenes of her, crawling down the stairs backwards and peeing on the floor and everything, we watched it all together again as a family. As soon as it was over, she popped out the DVD and went and put it in the case and walked in the backyard and put it in the tree for some reason. Still don't understand why that helped. Tom Ford says, all imprints I have gotten were region free, even though they list as region locked. I would say the same. I think there is only, I want to say 2 that have come out so far that are actually region B locked, and I can't even remember the titles offhand. I know Hard 8 was region free and Mothman Prophecies was region free. It might have been the Chalk Garden. Can't remember now. And John, I am right there with you. When are we getting The Exorcist in 4K? I don't know if they're waiting for an anniversary year or an invitation or what, but I mean, come on. That is the absolute most obvious title that we should be getting in 4K. And honestly, I wouldn't be upset if Scream Factory went back and did the first Omen in 4K. I can't imagine seeing that in HDR. Would look incredible. On this one, we also get an audio commentary with Stephen Jones and Kim Newman. This one, again, right up my alley. It looks great. Shirley MacLaine, fantastic actress. So that was it for Imprint. And then they announced they are putting out Umbrella, another Australian label, putting out Possession in their Beyond Genres line. They seem to be really focusing on this in the last few months. They've put out quite a few. Gosh, I think just in this last year, they've put out 5 or 6 titles, I think. And there's even a couple more coming. But yeah, Possession coming out in October from Umbrella. Again, Orbit has been getting these, and Diabolic's gotten a few, but not all of them. In fact, Grindhouse has been getting some of these as well. But Grindhouse, I don't know if any of you are following that saga. Grindhouse Video Tampa is closing. Mike from Grindhouse is moving to Knoxville, Tennessee, opening up a brand new store. He is going to be traveling to Tennessee this weekend, I believe, and then not this coming Sunday, which is in 4 days or 3 days, but the following Sunday, he's going to be letting us know what the name of his brand new store is. So we got that to look forward to. He's already got his website purchased and everything. So Possession is coming. This will have a slipcover. If you already have one of the big 4K releases or the Mondo Vision release of Possession, there does not look to be anything brand new that you need this release for. The cover art's cool. To me, personally, it doesn't really capture the tone of Possession. Possession is a wild movie for anybody that's never seen it. I would highly recommend it. Literally one of the greatest of all time by a long shot. Okay, and then Friday morning, after we got Imprint's announcements, we got all of the Arrow announcements. I totally forgot this was this last week. I mean, that's how busy this last week has been. So we're getting Sailor Suit Machine Gun. This is, let's see, a one-of-a-kind genre bender that riffs on the Yakuza film, coming-of-age drama, and idol movie. And from some of the people that I respect in the Asian film community, they are really hyped on this one. This one looks great to me. A lot of people have been expecting this for a few months because Arrow's postcards that come in their releases have been advertising this for quite some time. So it's nice that we can finally get it and stop questioning when we were going to have this announcement. I think this was delayed by a couple months. If I remember right, they were supposed to have this somewhere around September, and now it's coming in November. But the big one that they announced for this round is a limited edition release of Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge. This is another one that's been hyped in their postcards that come in their movies. We've known this was coming for quite some time. I am glad that this is a US release and not just a UK release. This is one that is going to have a beautiful limited edition hard box release, all kinds of stuff with it. But the big thing, if anybody remembers, they were asking about bonus cuts of this movie, some sort of alternate cuts that they were looking for probably, somewhere around April or May of this year. And if you look, there are 3 versions of the feature here. We have the original theatrical cut, the TV cut, and now the bonus integral fan cut, which from what I'm hearing is going to splice in the TV cut scenes into the actual theatrical version to have the entire integral fan cut is what they're calling it. This looks fantastic. If you've never seen this, this was a big mainstay in video stores. This is a modern, I guess we can say, a modern interpretation of the Phantom of the Opera. It was only a matter of time before the slasher genre decided to take a stab at the tale. This is from 1989, about high school sweethearts Eric Matthews and Melody Austin, who are so in love, but their youthful romance is cut tragically short when Eric dies in a fire that engulfs his family home. 1 year later, and Melody is trying to move on with her life, taking up a job at the newly built Midwood Mall, along with her friends. But the mall, which stands on the very site of Eric's former home, has an uninvited guest, a shadowy, scarred figure which haunts its air ducts and subterranean passageways, hell-bent on exacting vengeance on the mall's crooked developers. Of course, this is by the same guy who did Doom Asylum and Scared Stiff. Anybody huge fans of Doom Asylum or Scared Stiff? I personally, I don't really agree with the term guilty pleasure. I think you like movies or you don't, no big deal, nothing to feel guilty over. I personally love Doom Asylum. It has some of the most fun, wacky, hilarious situations that I don't understand how they actually thought, this is logical, let's put characters in this situation. But Doom Asylum is great. If you haven't seen it, Arrow also put that out. It looks great. It looks like a really good scan. Super fun release. This is getting a 60-page, fully illustrated, perfect bound book with new writing, large fold-out double-sided posters, 6 postcards. They're going all in. This is just one of those titles that they are, fully investing in. One that a lot of people complained about, The Hills Have Eyes. The original is coming out on 4K. Kyle says, I really love this art. Yes, I agree. The box looks incredible. And yeah, Arrow really does these sets like no other. The only one that I would say is close is probably Second Sight. Their hard boxes with the book and everything, pretty close to on par. Arrow's just feels different. And those that collect both, I'm sure you know what I mean. It's that soft touch exterior that just feels great. The Hills Have Eyes is getting a 4K release that is identical to their Blu-ray release. That is the only thing that disappointed me about this. I think this will look good. Unfortunately, this was not filmed on a medium that is going to show up super great. I believe this was originally on 16 millimeter. However, something that a lot of people do not stress when they are talking about these releases is we are getting this in HDR. HDR is where this is going to pop. Myself and Kyle here in the chat actually grew up in the area where they filmed some of the scenes from the original The Hills Have Eyes. And the way that they can bring this out with the HDR, it's going to look great. And anybody that has Arrow's 4K releases, they're pretty good. They're not Blue Underground level on all of them, but they're definitely able to do some good work. I'm curious to see how good this is going to look. And the big thing is that I'm tired of some of these fans, especially Arrow has a lot of them, that anything they announce, they find something to complain about. And I don't understand how somebody can say, this movie doesn't deserve 4K, or this movie is not going to look better in 4K, or it doesn't need 4K. That's one we get a lot. Dustin missed out on the first time, so I'm glad you can get it too. That's a good thing. And then John says it's not a 4K title when there's others to focus on. Yes, I agree. Yes, I would certainly prefer a brand new 4K title over this. However, I'm sure you guys have heard me say in the past, every single movie has been somebody's favorite movie. I don't see why we can't also have this. The scan on this is not a new scan. They probably only did HDR grading on this. And let's see here. Oh, my apologies. I don't know if I forgot they were advertising this as such. A brand new 4K restoration of the film. Obviously, that could just be a restoration in HDR, but I don't think this is a brand new scan. They could just be calling this a new restoration of the scan that they did previously. Every single movie can look better in 4K. Even something shot on video can look better in 4K. And the reason is not necessarily because of the 2160p that is possible, but HDR can actually highlight colors that you can't even bring out on a regular Blu-ray or a DVD, especially DVD. This is one that primarily I'm glad they're releasing this because of people like Dustin, who missed out on the first set. When this got released, it was, oh gosh, this might have been a 2018 title, I think, right? Check in Blu-ray.com. Yeah, this came out in January of 2018. So this is, by the time this comes out in, what is this, November, correct? By the time this comes out, we are going to be at almost 4 years since the original limited edition release. The landscape for Blu-ray collecting has changed dramatically in those 4 years. There are people that did not collect any physical media until the pandemic happened and they were stuck at home and they couldn't go out to theaters as much. They weren't getting together to watch movies with friends. There's also this big, I don't know if you've seen this or heard about it, there's a lot of people leaving streaming. And there's articles popping out talking about streaming fatigue. So there are people that just weren't collecting when this came out the first time. So I'm glad that they'll have a chance, but not one I'm extremely excited about, obviously, because we already have it. And just like John there, I'd much prefer a new movie. But the way Arrow has spoken about some of these, it's not like it is taking away from others that they would have gotten. So next up, this is one of the most exciting ones. This is Mill of the Stone Women. And this is getting one of the full limited edition boxes as well, with the posters, postcards, the book. And the big thing about this, let me see if I can find, let me see, is it in here? Okay, maybe I did not copy it over when I posted, but this is what they are highlighting and hyping as, John says, good streaming services suck. I agree. My big thing is, why are most of them so ugly? The way that we interact with them is terrible, especially something like Amazon Prime. God awful. But Mill of the Stone Women, this is being marketed as Italy's first horror film in color, which I want to see that. I'm sure that it is not an amazing movie, but for something as historical as that, can't wait to see it. This is coming with a new 2K restoration, and let's see, before Black Sabbath, before I Vampiri, director Giorgio Ferroni introduced audiences to period horror Italian style with his chilling 1960 shocker, Mill of the Stone Women, a classic tale of terror redolent with the atmosphere of vintage Hammer horror. I personally love Hammer, so this is just, again, right up my alley, something I'm going to look forward to watching for the first time. I am seeing here that there's presentations of 4 different versions of the film. The original 96-minute Italian and English export versions, the 90-minute French version containing exclusive footage, and the 95-minute US version containing alternate dubbing, reordered scenes, and added visual effects. Let's see. Always see it in the Mondo Macabro clip reel, so I pre-ordered it. Nice. And then Melissa here says, I would really like Arrow to put out a 4K of Tobe Hooper's Eaten Alive. The Blu-ray was gorgeous, and the colors were great. I can only imagine what 4K would look like. I would agree. There are so many of his films that would look great in 4K. There is a 4K of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Unfortunately, it was one of the earlier ones that you can tell they did not do a great job of the color grading, and I don't even think that was a new restoration. It was just an upscale, but Eaten Alive would look great in 4K, especially native 4K, done properly, as Arrow would do, of course. That one, let's see, was Eaten Alive an Arrow US title? I wonder if they have the rights in the US still. Let me see. Eaten. Yeah, it was US. Yeah, they probably still have the rights too. That's not one that you see people clamoring to put out again or anything. All right, so that was Arrow. Lots coming from them. Not as many as I expected, especially for November. Sardis, don't you love how they always make Italian films for the USA so special? Yes, I don't get it. That's something I wasn't going to mention, but yeah, I completely agree. All these movies have a different US cut. They've got either added footage or missing footage, or, I mean, what's up with how was that worded at the end there? Let me see. The 95-minute US version containing alternate dubbing, reordered scenes, and added visual effects. Real curious to see what that actually means, especially who's going to reorder scenes. Anyways, that's Arrow for November. Like I was getting at, I expected a little more, but not terrible. At least October's got quite a few coming out from them. Then we got another Bronson title coming to Kino. They always do great with these Bronson titles. This is Breakheart Pass. Not going to spend a lot of time on this one. It's pretty across the board the way they're treating all of the Bronson movies. It's got an audio commentary, and that one has Nathaniel Thompson on it at least, and Howard Berger's pretty good. Can't leave out Steve Mitchell either. This does have a brand new 2K. It's got a slipcover like most of their newer titles are getting, which is nice. But yeah, pretty standard Kino and Bronson title. Then I put up my third Boutique Labels video. Hope you guys watched that. There were some interesting ones in there this week. Got another one of those coming out soon. Speaking of videos, I actually have another video, I believe, going up tomorrow. One of my review roundups. I'm going to talk about a lot of the Boutique Label releases that I watched in the month of August. Yes, Ice asked, isn't it a Twilight Time rescue? I believe so. Which, good. It was deserved. Twilight Time. I respect them for a lot of what they did, but I was not a big fan of Twilight Time, to be honest. And I'm saying was as if they don't exist anymore, but yes, they are still a thing, just not putting out very many titles nowadays. Then from Kino Lorber is the one that excited me over the weekend. In Bruges is getting a 4K UHD release. This is awesome. The only thing that kind of irks me is, again, we were just talking about earlier when Tom commented about upgrading to 4K. I've got the ridiculously great second sight release of their Blu-ray on this. It looks amazing, has a book with it. It is a great hardbound box, everything. But then this is coming along. And In Bruges is one of those titles that I just know is going to look incredible with HDR. If you've never seen In Bruges, it is a amazing dark comedy with Colin Farrell, Ralph Fiennes, Brendan Gleeson, and those are the big names. But it is a dark comedy crime movie, and they're hiding in Bruges. And there's not a whole lot to say without spoiling it. But the big thing, Dustin hasn't seen this one. Oh man, I definitely suggest it. This is one that is especially fun to watch with a group of people. In Bruges is hilarious in some of the most random, unique ways. Sardis is asking, have you heard of King of the Witches releases? Are they a boutique label? I don't think I've heard of King of the Witches. Interesting. Send me a link or something in there if you can, Sardis. Yeah, In Bruges, definitely suggest picking this one up if you've never seen it and don't have the second sight. If you already do have the second sight, this is a tough one. I would wait for reviews to see how good it is. Kino's 4Ks have been, I won't say hit and miss, because they're all pretty great. But it depends on how much of an upgrade this one's going to be. This is a newer title. I believe this one was shot on film, so it should be pretty good. Then Kino Lorber on Sunday announced Some Like It Hot is coming to 4K. This one, I guarantee, is going to be a huge upgrade. So the Criterion, first off, it's a Criterion double dip. They are still releasing the Blu-ray. Kino does not have rights to the Blu-ray. They are only releasing this on 4K. So this disc is, I think this is the first time Kino's put out a double dip with Criterion, and they've kept it in print. This one I'm definitely looking forward to. It's got Marilyn Monroe, Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon. Hopefully you've seen it. It's one of the most famous movies of all time. This is one that I would recommend pre-ordering when that finally comes up. This one will likely have a slipcover and all that fanciness. I don't think we're going to be getting a lot of new features on this one, but hopefully they are able to license some of Criterion's features like they are for the MGM re-releases they're getting from Scream Factory and others. I don't see this being bare bones from them. They seem to be doing a lot better on that front. Then Sunday night, we found out that we are getting a Planes, Trains, and Automobiles Steelbook. Unfortunately, this is Paramount, which so far that means we are not getting it in 4K. I don't think Paramount is planning on doing many catalog titles in 4K, at least not yet. This one is obviously one of the greatest comedies of all time. I just showed my wife this for the first time this last, I think we watched it in December. Or maybe we watched it on Thanksgiving. One of the two. Either way, great movie. If you've never seen it, this is a great way to pick it up. And it's fairly cheap and already available on Amazon, coming out on November 16th. Pretty good looking steelbook, too. It doesn't necessarily capture the tone of the film, but at least it's decent art. Then it was time for Scream Factory, which, did anybody else see this? They got leaked again. On the day of the releases, Dawn of the Discs and some people on the Blu-ray forums found in, let's see, the website they are using, I've got it bookmarked here, is it's a business-to-business, basically it is the site that people are going on to buy things in wholesale prices. And they're showing up. They're showing up before they're announcing titles. I am hoping that Scream Factory and actually Arrow has been falling victim to this as well recently. I hope they start announcing stuff about a week sooner. Otherwise, these leaks are taking all of the excitement out of their announcements. But I'm pretty dang excited about this one. We are getting Dracula Dead and Loving It. I'm a huge fan of Mel Brooks. Obviously, this is not one of his best movies, but I love it, and I can't wait to see it on Blu-ray. We got Leslie Nielsen, and of course, the immortal Mel Brooks offers up a comedy transfusion with Dracula Dead and Loving It, a fantastic spoof in the vein of Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, and Spaceballs. It is most similar to Young Frankenstein, but it is nowhere near as good as Young Frankenstein. So if you've never seen it, because it hasn't been widely available, I think there was a really poor DVD. But yeah, it could be a decent release. I agree, John. Unfortunately, this one's not getting collector's edition treatment, which means it is probably not a new scan. We don't have any other information on this yet, but it is coming, finally. The big title that they announced that is coming in November, well, it was coming in November, unless anybody has seen what has risen to the top of the news chain tonight. We are getting Krampus in 4K, hopefully. It appears from the distributor that Krampus is getting delayed. Tom Ford says he loves Leslie Nielsen. Guess what? I do too. And we watched, my wife and I, we watched Airplane this week. Rather, I watched Airplane. My wife fell asleep. She's upstairs finishing it right this moment. I've heard her laugh a couple times. Yes, this is now a TBA title. This was supposed to be coming in November. Let's go into some of the details. Hopefully this is still coming. We are getting in 4K UHD a new cut of Krampus that they are calling the Naughty Cut. For the first time ever, the original cut of Krampus for those who are naughty, not nice. This is from, what's his first name? Mike, right? It's Michael Dougherty. That's his name. Can't speak. I am looking forward to this. This is the Naughty Cut, restores key dialogue and scenes that had to be trimmed from the original theatrical release in order to appease the MPAA. Damn them. This is supervised by filmmaker Michael Dougherty. This is the definitive version of the holiday cult classic for the entire family to enjoy. John says this film really grew on him over repeated viewings. I agree. For some reason, this is one that does not stick on the first try. 100%. This is just one of those movies. Dustin, yes, can't wait for this release. I am excited for it as well. For those of you that are wondering, they are really hyping this Naughty Cut. And the reason being is we are not getting the original theatrical cut on the disc at all. Not even just not on the 4K disc. We are not getting it at all. It will not come in the box. This is one that is not being licensed to Scream Factory. They are only getting the Naughty Cut. And again, hopefully, now it's showing as to be announced, and it's delayed from the distributor. But if you've never seen it, it's fun. It's got some really odd choices as far as CGI, but the parts that are practical are really great. I wish they would have stayed practical for more of this movie. It is very funny at parts. It does have Adam Scott, and it's got who is probably my favorite actress, and that's Toni Collette, at least favorite actress currently. She's really great in the movie, but everybody in this, and David Koechner's in this as well. Really good, fun film. Then, speaking of another movie I watched this week, I watched Videodrome over the weekend, and that, I believe, has catapulted to my favorite Cronenberg. And we are finally getting another Cronenberg on Blu-ray. This one's coming to Shout Select. Yes, John, Casey native, David Koechner. David Cronenberg's M. Butterfly. This one stars Jeremy Irons and John Lone. This is Beijing 1964 French diplomat René Gallimard unexpectedly falls in love with Peking opera singer Song Liling after seeing her perform the music of Madame Butterfly. But what begins as a torrid love affair soon draws him into a world of espionage and duplicity where the biggest secrets are revealed in the most unexpected of ways. This is going to have a new audio commentary by William Beard, who is an author of The Artist as Monster, the Cinema of David Cronenberg. Unfortunately, it does not look like we are getting a Cronenberg commentary, which obviously sucks. He is great when it comes to commentaries. He's one of the best out there. Alas, they are, at least at the moment, not able to get one with him. But this is great. I think we only have one other Cronenberg that is waiting to get on Blu-ray at this point. Then one of their IFC Midnight titles, we are getting Come True. This one is probably going to be hyped quite a bit. I would not expect this to come without a slipcover. This will likely have one, for those of you that adore slipcovers. This one I have not seen yet, but from what I hear from those that I trust, this one's pretty good. It's supposedly pretty sadistic as well, if you're into that sort of thing. Some other Shout Factory, not really catalog titles, but titles that are newer that they're putting out there just as part of Shout Factory. They're releasing Old Henry. This one has Trace Adkins, the country singer, and Stephen Dorff. And then they're putting out the 800. This is, I believe this is a, World War II movie. They're putting out Little Fish, and somebody that I know named Jeremy says that Little Fish is fantastic, supposed to be great. This has Olivia Cook in it. They're putting out Sigourney Weaver's My Salinger Year. This one's been getting a lot of buzz for some reason. And I'm not much into anime, but they're putting out Patima Inverted, I believe is how it's pronounced. And then Alan Moore's The Show. Alan Moore wrote this, I believe. Yes, Alan Moore wrote it. Then on DVD, they're putting out Punky Brewster, the complete series. Had to throw that in there. And then this one, again, not a big fan of the genre, but Neon Genesis Evangelion is getting the big limited release from them. They're also putting out a standard edition that is not the 11-disc set. Pay attention to the subtitling on this if that's important to you. Supposedly, the Shout Factory releases are missing certain subtitles. Sarda says, what did you think of Cosmopolis? Cosmopolis is unfortunately one of his weaker titles. I think the acting is great. I think it could have been a lot better, but it is a period of Cronenberg that I think started to falter a little bit. I'm really hoping this next one that is supposedly back to more of a body horror type of grounding for him. I'm really hoping some pretty high things for that. Cast looks great on his new one as well. Shout Factory also announced an updated special features list for Halloween 5. For those of you that have not seen this yet, this is pretty dang exciting. The big part of this that is new is new long-lost alternate opening sequence featuring the appearance of Dr. Death, and they also have extra snippets of gore to obtain an R rating that were cut. I am stoked on this. Really excited to see it. I don't think I've ever seen the Dr. Death footage. I think it was available on YouTube for a while. I meant to watch it, but I have not ever looked it up. So great that I can have this on this brand new disc. Again, that's only going to be on the Blu-ray disc. It will not be on the 4K disc. Sarda says he enjoyed the commentary. Yeah, I agree. Cronenberg, always great on his commentaries. I really hope that we get a new commentary on M. Butterfly. Kind of doubt it at this point, but we'll see. Dustin, I'm really looking forward to the Halloween 4Ks. I agree fully. The big thing is Halloween 78, brand new 4K scan. A lot of people were questioning why they were putting that out when it was announced by the studio previously. They only used the interpositive, I believe, for their 4K. So Scream Factory is getting the original negative and getting a brand new scan. John says they hyped these new extras and only Halloween 5 got the goods. I mean, we're getting new stuff for most of them, but you're right. Halloween 5 is the only one with something enticing. A couple of them, the new thing they got were like promotional stills or radio pieces, I think, was something that was new for one of them. I agree, kind of lackluster, but the big thing is brand new scans, 4K, HDR. I can't imagine these looking bad with HDR. For those of you that have not upgraded, HDR on a native 4K disc with deep blacks is probably the best part of 4Ks and the original scans and all that. For example, super old movies that are in black and white look incredible when they are scanned properly with good HDR. The blacks and the dark, it looks so good. And I can't imagine that these are going to be anything less than incredible. But I'm also just a big lover of Halloween, so I've got a lot of high hopes. I did share that I did get merch. We talked about this last week. No big deal. Let's picture my son. I'm wearing a shirt right now that is from the Cult of Cinema, Aaron Pinn's channel. By all means, support other creators. I'm all about that life. If you need to find out where to get the links for merch, you can check the description. Or I also tweeted and posted on Instagram and Facebook about other supporters that I'm a fan of. Sardis says, never seen any of the Halloween films, never interested me. Man, I would suggest at least the first one. Gotta at least see it for pop culture reasons. It's a great movie for a reason. The sequels are not incredible, although Halloween 3 is one of my favorites. John says, that's why I'm excited for Citizen Kane 4K. I didn't want to overhype it, but that's the exact title I was hesitating to say there, is Citizen Kane in 4K. It is going to be amazing. I'm really hoping that Criterion proves me wrong here with these 4Ks. I was disappointed in Criterion for a long time, at least the last year and a half. They've made some awful choices, in my opinion, but they are turning it around with this and proving me that they can do the right thing with another one that we're going to talk about in just a couple minutes. So Kino Lorber is putting out The Accused. Not a lot I'm going to say about this one. This is from 1949. Has a new commentary, but nothing else on here other than a trailer. I'm just glad it still has subtitles. This is Loretta Young and Robert Cummings, coming out on November 16th. This is the one I just mentioned, though. So Criterion had announced Uncut Gems was coming on Blu-ray, and it was supposed to be coming on October 26th, I believe. And they just announced this week that it was going to be delayed till November 23rd. But for good reason. This is going to come out on a 4K disc. I think, personally, this is the best choice they have made in a couple of years. Obviously, Uncut Gems has already come out on A24 Blu-ray disc. I love this movie. This is one that undoubtedly is going to look great in 4K. But for them to announce it in Blu-ray and then say, wait, hold on. We already announced other titles in 4K. We can put this one out on 4K, and you, as a consumer, will have the actual, the real motivation to upgrade here. I love Uncut Gems, but I didn't see a reason to buy their new Blu-ray when I've had the brand new A24 Blu-ray since the day of release. I have a reason now. I love the movie. I didn't feel the need to double dip on Blu-ray. I will likely buy a 4K version, at least when it's on sale. This is coming out now. They also changed the cover art. Honestly, not a huge fan of this new art. Kyle says, heard nothing but good things about Uncut Gems. If you haven't seen it, my man, you got to see it. It is a really great movie. The tension that they build in that movie, it is, I mean, it's kind of cliche to say it's palpable, but it really is. Like, the amount of actual anxiety that comes with that movie is crazy. It is something, the Safdie brothers, they just do great work with that. I felt the same sort of thing with Good Time. Good Time is a very similar bringing out that anxiety type of movie. And yeah, John Peters, I wasn't going to say it that specific, but yeah, the new art is bad. It's not as good as the old one. I was looking forward to it. Yes, great way to say it. It is very much a roller coaster ride. And what's odd is the crest, the highest crest, is such a long journey to the top there at the end. And then it really just takes you for that ride at the end. Especially if Kyle hasn't seen it. I don't want to say too much, but great movie. Coming to 4K, though, November 23rd. That's a big deal. This one, oh man, this one's a little silly. So Turbine put out their, look at that, I've got it right here. They put out, they put out An American Werewolf in London on 4K and a couple different boxes. I've got this version, love this version. They've got all kinds of great stuff in here. 4K, HDR, the goods. Arrow is likely going to release it at some point as well, but we have it from Turbine at the moment. After they had announced the 2 big boxes that they put out on 4K, then they put out standard versions of American Werewolf in London on 4K. Now they're coming back and releasing this in 7 different media books. I'm going to go through these covers real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because they've released this. It's been out for more than a year. But take a look at these. This is cover number 1. Here is 2, the classic. 3, showing the transformation. Number 4, that is the same art that they used on their other big box. Here is 5, very interesting choice to go with for the cover of a media book. Then 6, this is a very classic art associated with the movie. And then finally, this is the 7th one. It is honestly one of the most intriguing covers on here, but I can't imagine. Exactly. I agree with John. Love this film. Done rebuying it. I've got it in 4K. I don't need anything else. Holy God, 7 different media books. Great movie, but come on. Still in theaters and already coming on October 12th in a Best Buy exclusive Steelbook and, of course, regular 4K. Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. Haven't seen it yet. Don't have much else to say about it. It looked fun. Did not get great reviews, though. Another Steelbook coming out, and another one that has gotten tons of releases in the last couple of years, especially Steelbooks. I think this actually just got one of those big premium Steelbooks that we were talking about earlier. This is Apocalypse Now, the final cut. Digging the artwork. It's not bad. It'll be really nice on the shelf. I think this is one of the slipcovers that have been coming out on some of the Lionsgate Steelbooks. This one's interesting, and I think it's actually available for only like $20. So if you don't have it, this is in 4K. This is a good release to grab. This is an interesting one. I wish they had upgraded these to 4K, and I'm serious about that. I can't imagine how good some of these would look in 4K, but we are getting the holiday specials, all 5 of the originals, in a limited Steelbook release. Not sure if that is going wide, but it is at least going to Best Buy. Sincerely, some of those would look, I mean, all of them would look great in 4K. Then another one that's still playing in theaters, Jungle Cruise is, of course, getting a Disney Steelbook at Best Buy. The art is pretty good. No real complaints. I haven't seen it yet. Don't have a whole lot to say. I like Emily Blunt. She's a good actor. Don't need to talk about that. One more Train to Rob is coming from Kino and Code Red. So Code Red. Don't have a whole lot to say, but wanted to point out that Code Red, specifically Banana Man, for those of you that don't know from Code Red, he is the owner. Bill is Banana Man, and he posts a lot of things to the Code Red site on Facebook, Code Red Facebook page, and Dawn of the Discs especially. And I'm not throwing any shade. I love what Don does. I'm not trying to take over for him or anything like that, but he posts everything that that Bill Olson posts on the Facebook page as this is for sure coming. I'm not going to jump into that. Bill is known for having releases that he announces that don't come out or saying just random things. He mentioned one of, oh gosh, which was it? I think there was a Disney catalog title that he said, I tried to get it, but they wouldn't let me because of music rights. They were never going to give it up. But I agree with this. John says, I'm happy Kino is re-releasing Code Red. They make it easier to buy. Yes, 100%. Especially for some of the more rare titles like Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker, or I think Just Before Dawn got another re-release, right? Savage Streets. Some of the bigger titles, I'm all for it. I'm fine with some re-releasing, but I'm not going to jump on every single thing that Bill Olson says and say it's coming. Just a heads up for anybody that follows the page. I want to make sure things are officially announced, press release-wise, before I say they're coming. But speaking of things that are officially coming, Vinegar Syndrome announcements came out yesterday. There is so much coming here. First off, we are getting Devil Story. This is the slipcover art. Looks pretty good. This is a crazy movie. Without a doubt, one of the strangest horror films ever made in France. Devil Story is a mind-melting and almost indescribable, heavily gore-fueled fever dream. Keep in mind that gore is pretty cheesy. It's not, realistic or anything like that. They also have a limited print that I think may have sold out by now. They also have the shirt. Not a huge fan of the shirt design here. Sort of a bland rectangle design, but beyond that, it's very busy for what is in the rectangle. But stoked we're getting this one. This is one that we knew about for quite some time, so not going to spend a lot on that. This one, however, a lot of people were upset that Vinegar Syndrome is releasing this, which is odd. I do go to the Blu-ray.com forum sometimes. I don't spend a whole lot of time there because it's so negative. Vinegar Syndrome is great. I'm a huge fan. Love what they do. But I don't fanboy over them, but I'm also not going to shit on them for making decisions. This is one that the big thing people are complaining about is this came out in 1999. I don't recall Vinegar Syndrome ever saying we won't release titles after a certain year. John Peters says he saw me there once. Nice. Yeah, I'm not there that often. It's very rare that I'll put my head out. So Resurrection is coming from Christopher, I believe his last name is pronounced Lambert. Resurrection is basically a 7 knockoff, and it actually has somebody that was in 7 is also in this one as well. And David Cronenberg, speaking of somebody we were just speaking about, he is in one of his very few on-screen performances in this. Never released on Blu-ray before, Vinegar Syndrome is putting this out, and it's region-free, newly scanned in 2K. Lots and lots of special features on this one. This one looks great. From what I hear, it's extremely gory. Have not seen this one before, and I don't know how, because it is right at that age when I was watching things like this. I just don't think we ever got it in the town that I was in. This one, to me, is one that I'm most looking forward to. The big thing with Vinegar Syndrome is that it has to be done on film. They don't put out stuff that's shot on video. They are putting out some partner label stuff that was shot on video. But yeah, everything going through Vinegar Syndrome is all on film. So I have nothing against this. It looks really good in my opinion. Lots of negativity coming out of the community about this drop though. Not entirely sure why. They are also putting out Shallow Grave. This is packed with nail-biting suspense from beginning to end. Richard Stiles' Shallow Grave is an edge-of-your-seat, twist-filled Hitchcockian thriller with very strong slasher tendencies. Never released legally on disc anywhere in the world, Vinegar Syndrome is proud to bring the criminally underseen Shallow Grave to Blu-ray, restored from long-believed lost 35mm elements, alongside newly shot and illuminating interviews. I love that. John says they probably got in a package deal and why not release it? Exactly. There's no reason not to. And then so many of these people upset for literally nothing. But this one's coming out, brand new scan, 35mm elements that were thought to be lost. And the only thing, I think this got a Spanish bootleg release. So this will be the first time that we're actually getting it legally, which means it's going to be the best it's ever looked. Slipcover looks really good on this. The back is a little boring, but it's at least a good picture. We got a whole bunch. We got new commentary with the director, commentary track with the Hysteria Continues. I believe that's a podcast that I do not listen to. There's another interview with Richard Stiles, the director, that is from the past. Interview with writer-producer George Edward Fernandez. Again, this one looks like a lot of fun, like one I'd be interested in. This one is from 1984. Then, the next controversial pick. Sardis says, why complain about a film being available? Thank you. That is something I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, but there are other YouTubers out there complaining about all these. And I'm not, I'm not like a huge defender of any of these labels, but you don't have to buy it. Granted, if you're a subscriber, you're going to get this, but for the most part, on Vinegar Syndrome, you can just resell the titles. People buy them pretty much for retail or more eventually. Blades is another Troma title that is coming that is essentially Jaws on land, but with lawnmowers. If that doesn't excite you, you're probably not going to love this one. I personally love cheesy horror films. A lot of people are against this because it is from the same people that did Girls' School Screamers. So we got 2 months in a row of similarly toned, I guess you could say, movies coming out. No big deal. It's from Troma. It's from Vinegar Syndrome. 2 names that people love. They have very specific fan bases. If you want it, you buy it. If not, you don't. But this also has an in-depth making of documentary. And I got to be honest, Vinegar Syndrome kills their documentaries. If you've never seen them, the ones on the Spookies disc are probably the best they've done. They do incredible work on some of these making of documentaries. Them and Severin absolutely kill the documentary game. This is a movie from 1989, region free, newly scanned in 2K, commentary from the director, and then making of documentary featuring interviews with the cast and crew. But then they also have a Peakorama title coming out. Debbie Does Dallas Part 2. John says, wait until you get to the Terminal Island extras. I can't wait to see it. This weekend, hopefully. Ever see Twonky? Old film about a television gone berserk. Oh, man. That sounds awesome. No, I don't think I've seen this artist. Ice says, I saw Aaron Pinn mentioning the Cardona sets. Are they replacing them with something else? So John and Ryan from Vinegar Syndrome both came out on the Blu-ray.com forums and said those have been not permanently, off the slate or anything like that. They are being on hold because the Rene Cardona Jr. passed away earlier this year. And if you listen to, there was a podcast that Brad Henderson was on. He literally was setting up an interview with him for the following day, and he passed away. So they are doing a lot more work on those. They missed out on a lot of their special features that they had planned on. So those are currently on hold, but they have confirmed they are still coming out. I am glad that they are not all coming out this year. However, they kind of have to release them all. They mentioned all of this hype about the way they are releasing the Cardona collection with the magnets. Let's see. I know there's some people in here that do not have many Vinegar Syndrome titles. So this is the first Cardona collection that they released. And let me see, where is it? In the bottom corner here, there is a circular magnet. There's also one up here. So they are already announcing and have announced that there are going to be 3 of these. The catalog number on this one, hopefully that focuses, is 357A. There's going to be an A, B, and C, and they are all going to stick together. I understand the people that were upset about getting all 3 of them in 1 year as a subscriber. So my big question, and again, same question as Ice here, they pretty much have to replace them with some other box set. I believe there's a Euro horror box set that was supposed to come out this year, and I would not be surprised if we got another Forgotten Jolly collection. That could be the Euro horror set, or they could dump some others in a Forgotten Jolly and a Euro horror set and get some other themes going on. But I'm pretty sure they had to scramble a little bit when he passed away. So I'm sure that messed up the plans a little bit. For those that subscribed last November, though, it would be rough to get 3 of these Cardona collections in 1 year. So kind of glad that they are breaking those up. Back to Debbie Does Dallas Part 2. This is the slip. This is honestly one of the least artistic slips from Vinegar Syndrome, in my opinion. Not stoked on this design. This is a Peakorama title. This is supposedly a little more softcore than most of their Peakorama titles. Sardis says, I prefer them to go sooner than later. I mean, either way, I wouldn't be upset. We'll see. And then John, yes, there is something being announced tomorrow, which many think is a martial arts set. I would not be surprised if it was a martial arts set. They are working with Kung Fu Bob on the art for the first time. There are many that are saying Jim Kata, but I believe, if I remember right, that is Jim Kata is with Sony, I think. And Sony is an odd. They're an odd studio. They don't ever let anybody else do restorations on any of their films unless somebody had the rights to the actual print or the film itself, and they can license that out, and then Sony can license out the rights to distribute. I don't even think I remember that happening once. Sarda says, I don't like to wait. I understand that. Get him out of the way, too. Cynthia Rothrock would be cool. Yes, I agree. And after some of the things that have been hinted at, would not surprise me either. So we'll see. But obviously, we are getting information tomorrow about the Flash pre-order. It is absolutely time for that. The pre-order will not start tomorrow, but we will likely have probably 2 of the titles revealed. And they are... I'm not going to say for sure this, but they are probably not going to be a new VSU. It's probably going to be 2 titles that are going to be part of the November package, and then we'll have 2 more that are mystery titles. Ice asked, wasn't Rothrock who did a commentary for Sworn to Justice? I believe so. And yes, honestly, John, I think you're right here. We are probably going to have Flesh for Frankenstein revealed tomorrow with the full art and information on extras and all of that good stuff that comes with it. And it will be a perfect companion piece for this one that I know John has, and I'm sure many of you have, Blood for Dracula, that came from Severin. I just watched this about 10 days ago. Really great 4K. If you don't have it, definitely recommend that. That will be coming out in a review here, I think, tomorrow. Back to Debbie Does Dallas Part 2. For those of you that ask, Vinegar Syndrome has confirmed multiple times over they will never put out the first one of this. They don't have any reason to. Sardis saw Flesh for Frankenstein in 3D at the theater when it came out. Wow. I am jealous of that one. That has to have been a super unique experience. That's awesome. John says that's a beast of a release with great picture quality and extras. Look forward to it. Yes, it is going to be a really good companion, I'm sure. Debbie Does Dallas 2, not much to say about it. Softcore coming out, Peakorama. Softer, supposedly, than most of the other Peakorama titles. But then, where this month gets a little exciting for me is all of these partner labels. Holy God, Vinegar Syndrome has lots of partner labels now. So from Fun City Editions, we are getting a box set called Primetime Panic. I love this new Fun City Editions TV logo that they had created for this. Fun City Editions has killed it. Every single one of their releases is amazing. The 3 movies you are getting in this is Freedom, Dreams Don't Die, and Death Ride to Osaka. Each film has been restored in 4K from the original 35mm camera negative and presented in both 4:3 and widescreen. As these were produced for and originally shown on television in the early 1980s, they have never looked better than they do here. Also, from what I hear, does it say here? No, I believe they have confirmed that, what is the actual? Death Ride to Osaka, I believe, was shown theatrically in the UK, and we are getting an R-rated cut for that one, as far as I'm aware. Yes, at least Debbie Does Dallas 2 has extras. Most are bare. Yes, but also, not most. How many of them are there? A couple of them have been double features at least. So this one looks great. One thing that I wanted to point out here is we are getting, where is it? A booklet essay by Justin LaLiberty. For those that don't know, he is actually an employee at Vinegar Syndrome. One of the ones I'm looking forward to. This looks great. I would highly recommend this, primarily because everything Fun City Editions has put out has been gold. They are one of the easily top 3 partner labels of Vinegar Syndrome at this point. without a doubt. And I only say that because we have so many, but here is one more new partner label. Brad Henderson from Vinegar Syndrome and somebody else from Terror Visions. I don't have his name offhand. They have started Terror Vision as a video distributing new partner label of Vinegar Syndrome. And the first one they are putting out is a big one. This is the WNUF Halloween special. For decades, obscure film collectors and lovers of esoteric cinema have sought it, and now the search is over. Originally broadcast live on October 31st, 87, the WNUF Halloween special is a stunning expose of terrifying supernatural activity that unfolded at the infamous Weber House, the site of ghastly murders. Basically, this is a nostalgic grab, and if you don't know the cheeky story behind this, it's actually from 2013. This one is shot on film, so it's not going to look amazing, but it is going to give you all of the memories if you were around from the 80s and 90s and grew up with the video store vibes. This is, in my opinion, one of the best slipcovers they've put out. It's going to go great with the Donnie's Bar Mitzvah slipcover that also looks like a VHS slip. Absolutely looks super fun. Glad they're putting that out. They also announced some other titles that I'm going to get to in just a second. But AGFA announced What Really Happened to Baby Jane. This is a drag, I'll say, I don't really want to say anthology, but there's actually some short films in here with a single feature as well. Here is the back of the slip. AGFA always does great. This is one that looks pretty good. If it's not your style, I would definitely say look at the trailer first before you buy. It is it's a very progressive movie, and then on top of that, it is done in a way that might be off-putting for some people. But if it's something that you're into, this is going to be a big one. And it's from the only known 16mm print element in existence for this. This is from the UCLA Legacy Project. And here's everything it includes. The 8-minute Always on Sunday, What Really Happened to Baby Jane, which is just over half an hour. The Roman Springs on Mrs. Stone, which is almost 20 minutes. Spy on the Fly, which is 43 minutes. And then All About Alice, which is the main feature, which is 75 minutes. Lots going on this disc. AGFA always killing it. They're saving a lot of cinema, and that's exactly what they're for. AGFA is about American Genre Film Archive, so that's why they're doing it. Then this has been a controversial title for some people in the community to be speaking on. On another stream this week, somebody said, I wonder if Vinegar Syndrome will pull this from their website. I don't see that happening. This is coming from Saturn's Core. This is Duck the Carbine High Massacre. This is one that got some infamy when it was first announced. Let me just read specifically what it says. Written, directed, and starring New Jersey-based filmmakers William Hellfire and Joey Smack, Duck the Carbine High Massacre would quickly become one of the most controversial films of the 1990s, leading to a nationwide mainstream media frenzy and the eventual arrest and incarceration of its creators. I mean, that's kind of heavy already. Featuring Misty Monday, Lily Tiger, Pamela Such, and a live performance by a Nashville noise rock legends, Today is the Day. Duck transcended its regional SOV roots, emerging as the precursory feature to examine the hot button phenomenon of school shootings, a subject that is still as topical today as it was upon the film's release more than 20 years ago. So the big thing here is this came out in 1999, right on the heels of Columbine. And obviously, with the title like The Carbine High Massacre, and everybody still very on edge, speaking about two killers that worked together, that looked like loners, and the way that they're doing it, it hit some buttons for some people. This is one that I don't think is ever going to be pulled from the Vinegar Syndrome site, and I don't see why somebody would think that. But there is a lot going on here. This is one that I'd heard about way back in the day, and I never got to see. I am very intrigued to watch this. Recently, I saw We Need to Talk About Kevin. That's another school shooting movie, and it's really well done. I mean, Tilda Swinton is in that, and she absolutely kills that movie. It's probably poor word choice, but can't take it back now. Yeah, this one, it's not something that is, I don't think it was originally meant out of malice. I think that there's a lot to learn about the situations that we face in schools today. I mean, my 6-year-old has already talked about how to handle lockdowns. And I mean, I'm honestly pissed that he has to even discuss that. Anyways, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about that, as there's a lot of negative energy around it. The Altered Innocence release for this month is Wild Tigers I Have Known. This is 14-year-old Logan is in the middle of middle school, crushing on a boy, daydreaming of another self, and waiting to see a mountain lion. This was a selection of the Sundance Film Fest and was executive produced by Gus Van Sant. This is a brand new version of Cam Archer's angst-fueled experimental classic coming-of-age film, Wild Tigers I Have Known. The deluxe Blu-ray edition features over 2 hours of bonus features, including new HD restorations of much of Cam Archer's early body of work. That's the type of feature I love. You know, short films, some early films, some student films. I love that sort of thing because you can see the true evolution of a filmmaker. You can see, many times, you can see breadcrumbs of what their genius would eventually turn out to be in some of those older entries into their catalog. And it's just fascinating to see how they grew. It's one of my favorite ways to grow up with it. Sardis says, I grew up with duck and cover. At least they are learning something useful. Yes, I understand the duck and cover aspect. And man, honestly, I grew up in California. Lots of earthquakes, tons of duck and cover. It wasn't the nuclear age with a lot of that going on, but there was the Northridge quake. I grew up in Southern California, and I remember seeing my great-grandfather still asleep while the Northridge quake was happening, and he had this giant, what do you even call that? He had like shelves above his bed and everything you could literally see swaying. And for some reason, he snored really loud, and he would not wake up for the longest time. I will probably always remember that. Crazy story. Anyway, that's Wild Tigers I Have Known. Then we have one that we don't have a whole lot of information on. This is an odd one. This is Kid Candidate. This is coming out from Gunpowder and Sky. That is the slip here. And the crazy thing here is all we get for what this movie is in a time when young Americans increasingly feel cut off from politics and traditional institutions, Hayden Pedigo, a 24-year-old artist and musician in Amarillo, Texas, makes an unorthodox run for city council. And then where it gets weird, we get told that there's an audio commentary. With who? No idea. Q&A. With who? No idea. There's deleted scenes and a gag reel, but not a whole lot of other information. This one looks interesting, at least. And Gunpowder and Sky is... All right, John. Enjoy Shang-Chi. I'm hoping to see it this week, too. Have a good night, man. Kid Candidate. Gunpowder and Sky is the ones that put out Prospect, the 4K sci-fi with Pedro Pascal. So I'm hoping it's good, at least. Looks fun. The one that I'm looking forward to, I think the most from all these partner labels, other than Fun City Editions, because kind of cheats, is 3 titles. My big one here is For Mad Men Only. I love any sort of documentary that goes behind the scenes of filmmaking, and this one is one that is behind the scenes of comedy. I'm a huge stand-up comedy fan. This is a documentary on Del Close, and it says, starting his career with Nichols and May, training most of the original cast of SNL and forming Second City, and being the inspiration for the ever-popular Upright Citizens Brigade Theater, there isn't a comic working today who wasn't fostered or mentored in some way by Del Close. This has all kinds of big names in it. We got Bob Odenkirk, Jason Sudeikis, Michaela Watkins, George Wendt, Tim Meadows. There is some very modern names like Paul Scheer. This is one that looks great. Del Close also acted in a bunch of films. He was in the remake of The Blob. He was in a couple other movies from the late 80s, early 90s. He's done all kinds of stuff. And to see somebody that has had his hands in UCB, Second City, even SNL, everything, that's great. Can't wait to watch this. Really good looking documentary. Okay, so TerraVision. I announced that they had some other titles they were coming out with. We have Norway is coming in December. This is the poster art from Norway from IMDb. This is, like I said, Brad Henderson's new label, and I don't have the name of the person from Terror that was doing this with him, but Norway is photophobic Xano arrives in the city for the very first time. The year is 1984, and Athens beckons. A vampire and a fine dancer, Xano quickly gets devoured by the dark underbelly of the capital city. All he really wants is a warm girl. Brad Henderson also commented on, I believe it was Twitter, and said, "This movie is basically about a vampire that has to dance to survive." That sounds hilarious. I can't wait to see this one. They are also releasing Video Violence. This is one that has a very famous poster art. It's about a husband and wife who open a video store in a new town and come to find out that the locals only rent horror films and the occasional triple Xer and make their own snuff videos. And then, sort of an odd one, they are also putting out Killing Spree. Now, this one is odd because it already has a Blu-ray release from SRS Cinema. This one is tough because I don't think there's a whole lot more that they can do on this one. So we shall see if there's any reason to get that. But those last two, Video Violence and Killing Spree, we don't have a release date yet. I would imagine sometime in the next 6 months we will likely have both of those. And then more partner label stuff. We found out that Dark Star Pictures. Oh, before we move on, Melissa says, Killing Spree is so much fun. Looking forward to this release. Have SRS Blu-ray and we'll buy this one as well. I recommend for anyone that loves good, low-budget horror fun. Absolutely. I guess I forgot to say, this movie is crazy. It is really good, surprisingly gory for when it came out. It's very obviously low budget, but a really... You know what? I'm going to say it. It's probably an essential title. Most people should have this. If you are into slashers and horror, you should have Killing Spree in your collection in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's SRS or Dark Star, shouldn't matter that much, but it's a great one. I wonder... I think I have the SRS title right here. Look at that. Killing Spree. So we are getting yet another partner label. Dark Star Picks will be releasing The Last Matinee as a new partner label of Vinegar Syndrome in October. The release will also include Frankenstein, Day of the Beast, the film playing in the movie theater in the movie called The Last Matinee. They will also have the director's first feature, a black comedy horror take on Puppet Master, and then other special features like behind-the-scenes visual effects, Urban Legend, The Matinee Massacre presented by Guillermo Lockhart, another short called Hobby Metal, a short film behind the scenes, Movie Day, Uruguay, Fruit Stairs, thank you, all kinds of shorts here. This one looks loaded. Supposedly, Melissa said SRS also sells the script. Nice. I don't think I knew that they sold the script. That'd be a fun one to have. I've got the Hatchet shooting script here. I love reading through some of these scripts just to see the way that they actually storyboarded some of these items out. Yeah, anybody interested, I would highly suggest that. Killing Spree is a lot of fun. But The Last Matinee is supposed to be great. It played, for those of you that don't know, I'm in Kansas City. It played at our local film festival called Panic Fest, I believe. It's supposed to be great. I was not able to make it up there this year, but yeah, The Last Matinee is supposed to be a lot of fun. I would keep your eye on this one, and that is coming in October. So next month on the 1st should be available to order. We finally got an official announcement from Vestron on this one. You could order this on Amazon and Diabolic and everywhere before they even clarified, but they announced that the Vestron label would still be on the front of the slip for Steel Dawn with Swayze. This one is coming out very soon at this point, and from what I hear, we may actually get another Vestron release before the end of the year that has not been announced yet. Hoping that comes through at some point. Seal Dawn coming soon. That was from today. And then just before we went live, this is the last one we got, I believe, right? Let me check. Yep. This is the last one we got from Kino Lorber and Code Red, another one. National Lampoon's Movie Madness. This is what they put out right after Animal House. This is another one that's supposed to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see this. I think I've seen this, but I don't recall offhand. The big names we got in this is Diane Lane, Christopher Lloyd, Rhea Perlman, Fred Willer, Joe Spinell, Mary Warrenov. Lots of big names. This was also called National Lampoon Goes to the Movies. That's what makes me think I've seen it. I believe I remember that title. National Lampoon's Movie Madness, coming on November 16th. All right. So I'm going to go through some pickups, since that was all of the announcements for this last week. I'm going to do my off-the-wall and not movie-related ones, since that's all we've been talking about. I got some vinyl in this week. I got the Righteous Gemstones score from Waxwork Records. You can see the label up on this side. Really interesting, hilarious movie. Or not movie, sorry, series. There is a second season coming from this. I love the Righteous Gemstones. If you've not seen it, you definitely should. Really fun. Then I'm going to go over some books I got this week. Rest in peace to him, but I finally got Mike Mcpadden's books, Teen Movie Hell and Heavy Metal Movies. For those that don't know, this is, as you can see here, he was known as Mike McBeardo Mcpadden. These are still available from the publisher. It's at bazillionpoints.com. It also comes, if you buy the package, with this one, Swedish Sensations Films. All three of these together are only like $50 shipped, 55, something like that. I can't wait to read these. Ice Ass, going to pick up Eureka's Great Silence, most likely. That's one that I'm looking forward to. I don't have a good release of that, and it's looking pretty good. Dustin has Flesh Eating Mothers coming from Vinegar Syndrome tomorrow. Nice. That is one of the more fun titles that a lot of people look down on for some reason. I don't understand why. It's a pretty fun one. Teen Movie Hell. I love teen movies. I love sex comedies. I love especially stuff from the 90s that fall into this genre. I can't wait to read this. I love books that are on these type of compendiums. Melissa says Flesh Eating Mothers is a favorite of hers. Nice. There you go, Dustin. Another reason to look forward to it. And then this one, Heavy Metal Movies. I listened to the podcast Screen Drafts. They did a Heavy Metal Movies podcast, a draft of theirs. If you know anything about Screen Drafts, I would suggest listening to that. That is what made me originally look this up. There's also some color posters in the middle of this. These are great. I'm a big fan of the, like I was starting to say, some of the compendiums that release all of the movies together, and they talk about them, like the 90s Trash Horror Odyssey that just came out recently. Yeah, love these type of books. Swedish Sensations Films. This is the third one. This is by Daniel Ikaroth. That's probably not how you say his last name. But again, in the middle, there are some, can't show that. Let's do a quick flash. There you go. Yeah, lots of really, really good things to look forward to there. Couple other random pickups. I also got the Third Wave Cauldron Films. He already left, but I think John was watching these this week. I can't wait to dive into these. Collingswood is supposed to be very good. A lot of people were down on these as well because they are found footage movies. Like Cauldron could not release found footage movies for some reason. They are a little newer than what they had been putting out for a while, but again, if they're good movies, why not? We had talked about Steelbooks. One I really wanted to show because I did not even know this existed till I got it in a transaction from Facebook the other day. This is Midnight Meat Train. Look at the art on this. This is fantastic. I love this movie. Really good movie with Bradley Cooper. Does not get talked about enough. This is from NSM Records in Germany. Here is the back. Let me try to get the glare off of there. Really good release. I only had the regular standard Blu-ray. Would be nice to get some love on that movie. And then just to talk about more mainstream movies for just a moment. I've not seen either of these, but I love that Lionsgate is putting a lot of attention on Steelbooks recently, and especially the fact that these are similarly art-styled. I picked up the Hitman's Bodyguard and the new one, the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Have not seen these. I actually heard that they're pretty fun, just for turning off your brain and not focusing on, subtitles for some obscure art house movie for a night. However, the big one that I'm looking forward to, Melissa says Midnight Meat Train is very underrated. Ted Raimi's cameo, yes. That is such a very true statement. It is very underrated. But this is the big boy, Shout Select sale. I didn't go huge on it, but there's quite a few in here. I've got quite a few of the Shout Selects. If you saw my movie room tour video, and I'm not necessarily going for all of them, but there's still a lot that I wanted, and they have some decent prices this time. So I figured, why not? Let's see what we are able to find. Love the wrapping. Kind of odd that sliced through. Roll this. Okay, so first up, we got an older title. We got This Gun for Hire. This is Veronica Lake and Robert Preston. This is from 1942 in black and white. It's an outstanding film noir which presents one of the most disturbed and disturbing killers to ever cross the screen. That is the tagline that got me most intrigued on this one. And then for a very similar title, and this is from 1946, same timeline, and it even stars one of the same people, we got the Blue Dahlia. This one also has Veronica Lake and has Alan Ladd. And this one says, a honey of a rough up romance and a film fan favorite, The Blue Dahlia stars Alan Ladd and Veronica Lake, who generate sizzling screen chemistry in their final movie together. Yeah. Gotta love some old LA noir style movies. Then we have Brooke Shields in Endless Love. Don't know why, but I've always been a decent fan of Brooke Shields. She's a pretty good actress. This is one that I've not seen. I don't hardly know anything about it. The tagline here on the top, though, is a little disturbing. She is 15, he is 17. The love every parent fears. No thanks. Then we have one that is kind of looked down on by some people. It's probably nostalgia-wise, but I got The Plague Dogs. This is a If You Know, You Know title. This is a stunning animated adaptation of Richard Adams' novel, The Plague Dogs, which follows a pair of dogs, Snitter and Ralph, who escape from a research lab and try to survive in the wild with the help of a cunning fox. The lab director tries to keep their escape quiet, but as an increasing number of sheep are found killed, word leaks out, together with rumors that the dogs might be plague carriers. It's a classic, and I didn't have it, and I'm pretty sure my wife has not seen that one. That's one I'm looking forward to showing her. Next little stack in here. All right. We got some newer ones in here. Speaking of that podcast that I was just talking about, Screen Drafts, they just did an insane podcast that they called the Planet Hollywood Draft, where they did all of the films of Sylvester Stallone, Bruce Willis, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, the three that mainly invested in Planet Hollywood in the late 80s and early 90s. And they joked about this one a couple times. This is Paradise Alley with Sylvester Stallone. This is Sylvester Stallone's creation of a floridly fantasticated netherworld of low-life high rollers. I don't remember if I've seen this one. This one looks great. It's probably not. Sylvester Stallone is Sylvester Stallone. That's about all that needs. Then I also got Brighton Beach Memoirs. This is a classic. This is the heartwarming story based on Neil Simon's award-winning play. 15-year-old Eugene Jerome is desperately trying to uncover life's mysteries, but his family keeps hiding the clues. Yeah. course, I had to drop it. Next up is one I've wanted for a while. This is the complete Billy Jack collection. This is, I believe these are all in black. Oh, no. These are all in color. I thought they were all in black and white. These 4 groundbreaking, action-packed classics from the 60s and 70s pop culture icon Billy Jack feature all of the fast-kicking, politically aware stories that had audiences cheering. This is supposed to be a great collection. I think I've seen, let's see, the movies that come in this are The Born Losers, Billy Jack, The Trial of Billy Jack, and Billy Jack Goes to Washington. I think, if I'm remembering right, I've seen The Trial of Billy Jack. I don't believe I've seen the others, though. And then I have Snow Falling on Cedars. This one came with a slipcover, direct from Shout. Hey, what's going on, Matt? Good to see you. I'm a huge fan of Ethan Hawke. That's the biggest reason I bought this. I've not seen this one ever, but Ethan Hawke is, just like I mentioned earlier about Toni Collette, he's probably one of my top 2 working actors at the moment. And then, amazingly, also came with a slip direct from them, is Brad Pitt in California. This one is a very fun movie. Yeah, a lot of nostalgia with that one. Couple more in here. I'm going to go through these ones quick. This is Jerry with Casey Affleck and Matt Damon. And then we have Ned Kelly. This one has Heath Ledger. It's a big one I got that one for. This one also has Naomi Watts. She is a great actress. Loved her in Funny Games. A bunch of other things. Matt says, I'm jealous of this haul. Wish I had the funds to grab a few things. Next Shout Select Sale. They've been pretty good recently. This is one that is from Bruno Ganz. This is Downfall. And then we have the Moderns. And this is one with Jeff Bridges and Penelope Cruz and John Goodman, one of my favorites. This is Masked and Anonymous. And then a double feature with Robert Mitchum, Farewell, My Lovely, and The Big Sleep, War Noir. And this is the last one. And yeah, Matt, this is more than I expected for sure. Downfall was one you really wanted. Me too. That was one of the ones. More on Downfall. This is called Dramatic, Accurate, and Harrowing by the San Francisco Chronicle and nominated for the 2004 Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film. Downfall takes you into Hitler's bunker during the brutal last days of the Third Reich. Yeah, that's right up my alley. Love some of those historical movies. I don't understand how I missed this one, but I didn't even know this was out on Shout Select. This is Eagles of Death Metal Nos Amis. This is the November 13th, 2015 terrorist attack in Paris claimed 130 lives around the city, 89 of them at the Eagles of Death Metal's Bataclan Theater concert. I remember that night very vividly. That was a crazy day. Obviously, there's a lot of historical events that our generation has lived through, and yeah, I'm certainly interested in seeing that one. And then featuring another one of my favorites, Jeff Goldblum, Into the Night. This one also has Michelle Pfeiffer. God, that glare is awful. And then a classic, Midnight Run. Most people know what that is. We got Robert De Niro, Charles Grodin. Super fun. And then another noir. We got The Glass Key, again with Veronica Lake. And the last one here is with Mickey Rourke and Christopher Walken. This is Homeboy. Homeboy. Academy Award nominee Mickey Rourke delivers one of his strongest performances as Johnny Walker, a washed-up boxer looking for one more shot in the ring. With hard-hitting fight scenes, gritty drama, and a knockout performance by Christopher Walken, Homeboy is an unforgettable film about a man who refuses to give up on his last chances to make good. Sardis says, does The Big Sleep have the alternate version on it? Let me pull up. I think it did. Let's see. The Big Sleep. We have new interview with actress Sarah Miles from The Big Sleep. The Big Sleep on location, including a brief interview with the director, an interview, and The Big Sleep vintage featurette and theatrical trailers for both films. So maybe not. And I definitely thought it did. And it says approximate running time 99 minutes. So I guess not. So that is that for this week. Nice collection. Yes, thanks. Now the big thing. I mentioned earlier I was going to announce something. We were going to try to talk this out. I'm looking for a way to be interactive with the month of October for horror. I love horror. That's my big thing I collect, obviously. I wanted to do a big 31 days of horror and review as much as I could. But as you all know, I've got 2 young kids, and I work a lot. I'm working average 50 or 60 hours right now per week. I can't really review a movie every single day, but I am working my best to come up with something cool here. Eric is asking, did the Mitchum version have an alternate version too? Let me see. That one, again, just says approximate running time 95 minutes for Farewell, My Lovely. I don't think so. So what I'm going to do for the month of October is I think I'm going to try to set up a themed style of movie for each day of the week. And what I'm going to do is I released for a very small handful of people last year, and Matt, who's on the stream here, he got my copy of my calendar for last year. What I'm going to do is set up a calendar where we're going to choose a theme for each day of the week. So we're going to say every Monday is slashers, every Tuesday is a creature feature, or something like that. Every Wednesday is a foreign film. What I want to see in the chat here, what are some of your ideas that you would like to choose as themes that we can put a scheduled list of movies around for the entire month of October? So what I'm thinking is every Thursday when we meet up in October, we'll go over a list of some of the movies that we watched over the previous week. I'll go over the announcements, and then we'll talk about all together what everybody watched. So I'm going to put out a suggested list, but obviously anything from those themes could work as well. So if we all choose remakes for one of the themes, maybe one of the suggestions is The Hills Have Eyes, and you watched House of Wax. You can easily talk about House of Wax, and we can bring up The Hills Have Eyes, just like, just talk about what we watched. So are there any themes that anybody is thinking? Foreign is your choice, Sardis. I agree. That is one that I think has to be there for every single year. What I did last year is I went with alliteration, and I made Foreign Fridays. So I'm probably going to do the same thing again this year. Eric was talking about the original The Big Sleep with Bogart. I think that the Mitchum version did have an alternate version thinking about it, but I'm not entirely sure. Ice says anthologies. That was one I used last year as well. I'm probably going to do it again because there's so many anthologies out there. Oh, folk horror. That's a big one. Obviously, this year with that big Severin box set coming out. Another one that's going to be in my review video is I finally watched V. Matt knows I loved it. Folk horror is a big deal. My wife somehow has still never seen The Wicker Man. I may show her the Nicolas Cage one as a joke and then watch the original. But yes, folk horror is a great idea. I will likely include all 3 of these with some suggestions from each of those. I'll put out a calendar. I'll have it here to show everybody next week. And in the meantime, when we get a full list of themes, I'll have... calendar will not be available next week. It'll be the week after that. Next week, we'll talk about titles for the themes. Then, when everybody gives those titles that they're thinking, perhaps there's some that you've wanted to see. Melissa says, oh no, not the bees. Yes, I desperately want to show her the bees. Dustin, comedy or silent? Silent is an interesting idea. I would not have considered that, but that's probably a good one. Comedy is one that is obviously a classic idea. I went with that last year as well. One that I watched that I think was pretty underrated. Not many people talked about it. If you've never seen it, watch Hell Baby. Hell Baby is a lot of fun. Melissa says Horrors in the Woods. That is a good idea too. Obviously, The Witch comes to mind, but there's so many. I actually watched one that would be Horrors in the Woods that would fit from this week. What was the name of it? How am I blanking on it? Kill List. I finally saw Kill List. Has anybody seen Kill List? It was directed by, what is his name? Ben Wheatley, who did he did A Field in England. That's coming in that Severin box set. Sardis says incredible. I saw it a couple months back. Yes, V is special. That movie really got to me. Obviously, the last 8 or 10 minutes or whatever are incredible, but that whole movie is just so well done, especially with just the way that you can feel the passion in which it was made. It feels like a really well-made on-stage play. Loved it. Motel Hell. Motel Hell. Is that meant as a theme or just listing a movie? Motel Hell would actually be a funny themed week or a funny themed day to go with, because it's alliterative with Monday, but also there's all kinds of horror movies in motels and hotels. That's not a bad theme. Anyways, I think that's all I've got for this week, everybody. Went over our announcements, went over some pickups, support things like go to Bazillion Points, support Mike Mcpadden. Some of the money from this still goes to his family. I know that was a shocking death when it happened. If you have any questions about any of the releases, let me know. You know, I'm always happy to help and happy to talk. Thanks for hanging out this week. Again, if you come up with any themes, leave them in the comments on the video. Get any ideas. And next week, we will pick the actual movies that we're going to put in the themes that I come up with. We may even build a calendar together. I will try to come up with a handful of other themes. Maybe we can vote on them live. We'll see what we do. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out. This is great community we're building here. Love it. We've been doing really good these last, I think we're going on a month now that we've been doing this. So as usual, from one collector to all of you, hope you all have a good night. Stay safe. See ya.